Mama's Haiti, she's mixed, she's Portuguese, Indian, like from Bombay, and Chaldean, which is the oldest Aramaic nationality, Chaldean from Iraq. So she's Christian Arab, Christonia Arab amamen. Is papes Barskahaya, but I grew up in a very high-asset home, and so mama inka հայերեն սովորել, հայերեն խոսում, ինքը ավելի խիստ էր, ավելի սիրում էր որ մենք հայերի հետ շփվենք, որ վաղ չեմ իսօր չասեն հայ չարա, որտեղ maman հայ չէր, you know what I mean? So at this saketits, I've always identified with my Armenian side so much more, right? And Mer Oджahyan is warm. It's, you know, it's very family oriented, you know, we thrive around people. It's, you know, it's an amazing culture. And so I'm sure a lot of that has helped me and instilled like strong family values. And, you know, I take that with me wherever I go. I was 10 years old and we moved to La Cañada, which if you know, it's a predominantly like white city, especially back then, very ethnically sort of homogenous. And so, you know, I experienced a lot of things that have kind of made me who I am today. And one thing I learned early on is I love standing up for people who are discriminated against, who, you know, experience prejudice, the underdog, if you will. And so the specialty that I fell into and I thrive at is one where I get to help people when they're at the lowest point in their lives. And so I'm very, very, very fortunate to do it. And I love, you know, getting up in the morning to do my job, which is a blessing. For me, I was working as a defense lawyer, defending big corporations, and one day I was in court and I met a woman that was crying because her husband had fallen off the roof and their attorney was trying to force them into a settlement that wasn't even enough to buy his medications for 1 year. And, you know, they were undocumented immigrants, and so at that time I thought, you know, I can do this and really make a difference and make an impact and change this family's life forever. And so I convinced my then partner to take it on, and we took it on and we settled it for multiples of what was on the table. And so ever since then, I've been blessed and we've been getting a lot of word-of-mouth referrals based on, you know, people in the community who are familiar with our work. Most of our referrals come from other attorneys, believe it or not, who know that we specialize in this area and, you know, entrust us with their clients, and that's honestly the biggest compliment we can ever receive. What makes a good attorney is someone who is compassionate, right? And a lot of people mistake the definition of that word. Compassionate is, you know, not that you don't have anything going on and you dedicate yourself. It's just seeing past your own pain or your own issues or whatever it is you're going through to really put yourself in that person's shoes and really feel it on your own skin and really go out of your way and do everything you can to kind of help them and make their life better. So I think if you're compassionate, if you're passionate about what you do, if you give a shit about people, and educating yourself, you know. Unfortunately right now with the way that social media is, people are more preoccupied with the content they're putting out as opposed to the substance of what they're doing and the quality of the work that they're, you know, doing. And so that's kind of concerning, right? You wanna focus. I've always been substance over form, and then if you do a good job, everything else kind of falls into place. But you have to really bring yourself up to speed, be educated, in the area of practice. There's no way where you can do everything successfully, you know. You really have to specialize. You know, we're in a very small niche and we like it that way because we have mastered it. My inspiration is helping people. I think that's also the legacy I want to leave behind and the example I want to set for my kids, right? And so my inspiration is helping people improve their quality of life, helping effectuate change. Like we will try cases, we appeal cases, we get published decisions, and we do that because we're passionate about not only helping our clients, but helping change the rules industry-wide that can impact all other injured folks, right? And so I'm very passionate about that. That's certainly something that drives me. Another thing that drives me as a older parent is really raising good humans, right? Setting a good example for my kids, making sure my boys are good human beings, right? I'm less worried about things that maybe my parents were worried about growing up, and I'm more worried about them just being good, healthy, well-rounded individuals, right? But what drives me in the morning is my boys, no matter what kind of crazy day I'm having. Charlie basketball practice uni to khal uni to game uni, I'm there, so that's my priority. Երկու հատ տղա այնքան տարբեր են, կարծես նույն ծնողներից չեն։ Մեծը շատ sense ծանր, ավելի sense հոտած serious երեխա է, իսկ փոքրը կերած խմած հայաստանցի sense like, ճաշ բան դեսեր այդ երեխան երբեք էսի չի ասի, որ մամ կուշտ եմ։ So նայած փոքրս ամեն ինչ էլ ուտում է, շատ հաճելի, շատ հեշտ, իսկ մեծը, oh my god, մենակ պիցա, մենակ չոր բան, ոչ սոս ասիրում, ոչ ստու ասիրում, ոչ vegetable ասիրում, կյանքս ուտում, բայց այնց ազիզ երեխա է, այնց շնորհքին դաստիարակված երեխա է, so ինչ ուզում ուտի, it's fine, whatever. Who cares? Երեխերքս հայկական դպրոց են գնում, այդքան որ ուզում եմ լավ խոսան չեն խոսում, բայց սովորում են, ուշի չունեն, practice են անում, մեր նանին հայ է, so իրանից սովորում են, փորձում ենք տան մեջ իրանց հետ հայերեն խոսանք, որ վարժվեն ավելի, but yeah, absolutely, we celebrate Armenian Christmas, all the Armenian holidays, Կեսուր կեսրարը և Արմենի ընտանիքը 40 տարի աստեղ են ապրում, մեզանից էլ շատ, բայց որ իրանց տեսնես կկարծես անցյալ շաբաթ են եկել Հայաստանից, իրանք շատ հայասեր ժողովուրդ են և պապիկ տատիկ են կանչում իրանց, ես էլ եմ պապիկ կանչում, կեսրարի շատ ազիզ մարդ է, բայց մենք միշտ իրանց հետ հայերեն ենք խոսում, so մենք մեզի շատ հայ ենք զգում, even though 100% հայ չեն։ Yes, փորիկ եմ, so սաղը սիրում եմ, but I love Monte, like love, ամեն ինչ, պարսկահայերեն ճաշեր եմ սիրում, like the խորեշs and the stews and the rice and stuff, I like the բնիկ Հայաստանցի stuff, I like all of it, փորիկ եմ, I even like the Lipanahai stuff, that like the kibbehs and the kebabs and the, իմ սիրած տեղը Ռաֆի քեբաբը եւ գիտեմ, որ էդի հայկական քեբաբ չի, պարսկական է, բայց ոչինչ նույնն է, same idea։ Իրանք էլ ինձ են քաշել սաղ փորիկ են, that's the one thing that gives, unfortunately, չեմ հասնում, շատ եմ սիրում, մեկ I do, բայց շատ անգամներ օգնում են, օգնություն, you know what I mean, so մատ հայ աղջիկա շատ ազիզ է, գալիս է շաբաթ մի քանի անգամ մեր համար ջաշ է պատրաստում, բայց շատ անգամներ դուրս ենք երթում, դուրսից եմ պատվերում, որովհետև ժամանակ չունեմ իսկապես եւ այդ ժամանակը որ տունն եմ, ավելի կսիրեմ երեխեքի հետ ժամ անցկացնեմ, իրանց հետ homework անեմ, գիրք կարդամ, TV նայեմ, constant նստեմ, kitchen-ում, you know what I mean, այդ ժամանակը bond անեմ իրանց հետ անցկացնեմ, it's more, Mama's was Catholic, Christiania Catholic եւ ավելի կրոնական էր քան պապան. Papan is Armenian Orthodox. So որ մեծանում էի ավելի շատ like 24-ին 25-ին էինք տոնում, բայց հայկական Christmas-ն էլ երթում էինք պապայի ընտանիքի մոտ. So ամեն ինչ էլ տոնում ենք. Any excuse to celebrate, we're there. Իմ փոքրս երկրորդս Christmas-ի օրն ածնվե։ So Christmas մեր համար շատ կարևոր եւ շատ ուրախ օր է, right? So Christmas լրիվ ընտանիքով ենք անցկացնում։ Հայկական Christmas-ն է շատ անգամներ գնում ենք Արմենի քրոջ մոտ, տալիս մոտ։ Ինքն էլ համով ճաշերա պատրաստում, լավ անցնում, կամ երթում ենք կեսուրիս մոտ, բայց you know, the 24th and 25th is ours, is what we celebrate here. What's most heartbreaking is the world's indifference to what's happening back home. And forget indifference, the lack of education, like no one knows what the hell is going on. And you know, I recorded a video some time ago, right around the time where the last attack happened and Artsakh was taken. And it was maybe 2 weeks apart from when the terrorist organization launched an attack in Israel, right? And everyone was talking about that, and the CALA organization, which is a consumer attorneys organization, made a statement about that. But no one either knew about or was talking about or gave a shit about what was happening in Armenia. And so it's very, very devastating. Unfortunately, you know, we're few in numbers globally, right? And although we're very powerful and very educated for the small number of people that are in the diaspora, we are lacking the infrastructural organization to be able to properly represent and lobby on behalf of our people and educate people about what's going on back home, right? Right now, especially in this day and age with social media, where you can see what's happening like under your nose, it's still, you know, people turn a blind eye. So it's devastating, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's also a time to do more. It's a time to be able to use your platform, support the various organizations, educate your non-Armenian friends about the dynamic of what's going on back home. Gosh, this is really a touchy subject, especially now with everything going on in Artsakh and Armenia. I think we are learning that irrespective of what happens in the motherland, I mean, we're all very hopeful, we're doing our part, we're doing whatever we can to raise awareness and to preserve what's there. But I think we're learning that Armenian and Armenianness needs to stay alive in the diaspora irrespective of what's happening back home. And the only way that's going to happen is if everyone takes the personal responsibility to instill it in their children, to educate their non-Armenian friends about the culture, to practice it, right? And so, you know, if you tell me what social functions we go to, 9 out of 10 of them are Armenian, and we do a lot of philanthropy in the community. And because of everything that just happened, we all saw the footage of, you know, 40,000 Armenians being, you know, on the Exodus road out of Artsakh, and like, you can't unsee that. That was just devastating. So it's a sad time, but we also have a lot of work to do. You know, it's a wake-up call. If the infrastructure was built properly back then, if, you know, if we were mobilized properly, perhaps we wouldn't be in this boat. And so there's definitely lessons to be learned there. Our strength is that, you know, we're such a culturally rich people, right? We are the oldest Christian nation, and we have such amazing exports that can come out of Armenia, right? You know, whether it's the dried fruit, whether it's the, you know, so much industry back home, right? And there's been so much development in the past few years, right? With the FAST Foundation, building infrastructure, you know, with a couple of other organizations, with money being invested and so on and so forth. If that was done for decades, we would have been in a whole other place. But there's so much there to be discovered and for the world to see, right? But it's a double-edged, it's a two-sided coin. The unfortunate part is that the world doesn't know about it. So one of the lawsuits that we were involved in was this silly little scam where an organization here was labeling their goods as made in Armenia when in fact they were made in Turkey or made in Azerbaijan in order to trick the Armenians in Glendale to purchase the products, okay? So it was like a false advertising kind of a situation, and I'm sitting there and the attorneys that took it, we all took it pro bono, and it was really more to get the word out there and to publicize what was going on back home more than it was anything else. And we had decided if there was any monetary gain, that money was to be donated. But the takeaway for me was we're sitting here and doing this kind of stuff and exploring this lawsuit, and the sad part for me is if the stuff was actually made in Armenia, it would be so much better, because the food product exports in Armenia are just spectacular, but most of the world hasn't even seen it, tasted it, heard about it. There's a website called Made in Armenia. I'm blanking on the lady's name who started it, but she's amazing. She sent me some care packages before that we've posted about, and the stuff is so tasty and so delicious and so organic, And so it's unfortunate for the world to not try it, and for it to not be out there and more sort of mainstream globally. But I digress from your original question. Armenians are warm, they're family-oriented, they're kind people, they're the oldest Armenian nation, they're very deeply rooted in Christianity and in doing the right thing and living a God-fearing life, But the weakness, of course, is that we are few in numbers. We are survivors of genocide. A history not properly dealt with, unfortunately, repeats itself, and it has been incrementally during the course of the past few years, heartbreakingly so, in spite of social media, in spite of it being the 21st century. And so, we're few in numbers, and infrastructurally, we're a little weak, right, at the moment in particular, but, and the world doesn't come to our aid the way that they do with others. They don't, we're not as politically important, unfortunately. And so I think it's incumbent upon us as Armenians to kind of raise awareness, to preserve our culture. But I think culturally, I told you everything that's amazing about us, but the weaknesses kind of, unfortunately, are glaring and speak for themselves as we face this existential crisis. My mom worked her entire life since we moved here back in 1986, and she had a stroke 7 years ago on my birthday when I was out of the country. It was a massive brain bleed. Luckily, with the grace of God, and despite all medical odds, she's alive. But she is in a home and is unable to verbally speak or communicate, but she communicates non-verbally. I spend a lot of time with her, and her spirits are up, and that's the most important thing. And from what I glean, I show her footage, I take the kids to see her. She's always really happy to see us, and I get the feeling that she's very proud and happy with the way things turned out. With the exception of obviously what happened to her. I think, unfortunately, she has a cognitive ability to realize, what's happened, and that's devastating and heartbreaking. But we're also very fortunate that despite that, she's in good spirits. They take really great care of her there, and that's really all I can ask for. My mom worked 20-hour days when I was growing up, and the irony of it is, we would tell her, Mom, let's go hang out. She would say, Che harsani kunem, Valentine's Day chem karog, and we would work at the flower shop, որ 12-13 տարեկանայի մամայի ծաղկավաճառում կաշխատեինք մինչև առավոտվա 2-3 Christmas-ին, Valentine's Day-ին, so շատ աշխատասեր, working until she had her stroke, and we would never really take family vacations. So the irony of it is now, she's getting a lot of downtime. She's getting time to spend time with her grandkids and do all the things that she didn't do. And it was a life lesson for me to definitely take some downtime and really enjoy the fruits of my labor before, it's too late. So that's part of the answer. My father is a very charismatic, worldly man. He wasn't around, unfortunately, a lot when I was growing up. For մենք եկանք ես 10 տարեկան էի, papan գնաց, the old CIS countries in there աշխատում, because he did import-export, Պարսկաստան, Ղազախստան, so ինքը, 10 տարի գնում գալիս էր, 5 տարի գնում գալիս էր, so մի 20 տարի, որ ես 10 տարեկանից մինչև pretty much 25-27 տարեկան papan ստեղ չէր, բայց հետո որ եկավ, we worked on our relationship and now we're making up for lost time and spending a lot of time with him in his 80s. I think he's really proud of me. I learned my communication skills and I get my wittiness and my charisma from him. But you know, my work ethic and you know, that all comes from mom. So. Well, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast, so I can't tell you what I dreamt about at 5. But I was always a performing arts kid. I always wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, I wanted to, you know, I liked the creative arts. I even enjoyed working in my mom's flower shop and doing arts and crafts. So I never thought I would end up in the law. But, you know, I was studying political science in undergrad and you know, language and reading and writing was my strong suit. And so, you know, when I told my parents I want to go to law school, they said, are you sure that's not a career for women? Are you sure you don't want to pursue business? But, you know, I surrounded myself with a lot of very capable friends and colleagues and who set a great example. And I thought if they can do it, I can do it. So why not? So I always say that there's guardian angels in my path that got me to where I am today, and I always try to pay that forward as much as I can and mentor and uplift and, you know, the next generation of women coming up. You asked me what my legacy was earlier, and a very big part of that I didn't share with you is, you know, just uplifting and inspiring other women coming up in my profession and in, you know, business and entrepreneurship in general, because I think back then I would have really benefited from social media or access to mentors, right? It really would have accelerated my success and, you know, perhaps expedited a lot of things, whereas now there's all this access, and so it's such a pleasure and a privilege, and honestly, like a big part of what I do is mentoring and teaching and educating and, you know, speaking at different events, mentoring either through organizations or informally through my IG to help kind of shape and guide, you know, the paths of the younger generation of folks coming up.